First thing on the agenda is roll call. We have a bunch of new people here, so why don't we just do a quick around the table here and everybody introduce yourselves. So.
Scott McGrath. Patrick Reynolds.
You want to talk a little bit about your background or whatever? Just so everybody
Sure,
knows.
yeah. I'm currently working in a renewable energy development company based out of Boston, but big scale projects throughout the country. I work in project finance and more like strategy finance on the corporate side as well. I have an MBA from BU for mostly focused on energy and environment that I completed back in 2021, I think. And then before that, I worked in just traditional investment management, mostly on the operations side for about 8 years. And I'm from New Hampshire originally, lived in Cambridge for 10 years, and then just moved up here, bought a house off of Grant Road, closer to the Epping side, I think, back in August.
Okay, excellent.
Good, Scott. Welcome.
Thanks.
I'm Patrick Reynolds. I'm the planning board rep for energy and environment.
I'm Rebecca Premier. I own Symmetry Yoga in downtown here. It's been about 3 years now.
I'm Joe Lamartina. I am the town council representative to the committee here, and also serving as the moderator, vice chair.
Hey everybody, George Anderson, new guy here. We're working at Newmarket, sustainability project manager. Just recently moved to Newmarket. It's been less than half a year now. Prior to kind of Newmarket, a couple different areas, urban and Concord, New Hampshire area, and most recently lived in the Salem, Massachusetts area, working in higher education as a sustainability coordinator down there. So, happy to be here.
I'm Lindsay Butler, the town engineer and the staff representative to the Energy and Environment Committee.
So next item on the agenda is public comment. I will open it to the public. Seeing no members of the public, I will close public comment at 7:03. Okay, I believe I distributed the September meeting notes. Since it wasn't an official meeting, it's just there. You guys can take a look at them and whatever. Okay. Next item is any update on the master plan, the energy chapter?
There is a minimal update at this point. For those of you that were not aware or did not participate, there was a community workshop in September that was targeted at gathering a lot of input and information on the upcoming chapters, including energy and riverfront and transportation and some of the various topics that this committee's been discussing and touching on. So SRPC touches on some of the energy and transportation aspects as well. So they're combing through all of the feedback and information they got from those, and Carrie, who has come to present to the committee before, will be she's planning to attend the next meeting in November to provide a more comprehensive update on the process. She'll be able to discuss some of the information from the survey that was out and the workshop and the Plan New Hampshire charrette, provide some results and info on that. And then she will also be looking to open discussion regarding the master plan themes. The master plan subcommittee has identified various themes that are going to be consistent through each of the chapters. So Carrie will be looking to kind of overview the themes and discuss some of the energy goals and how they fit within those themes and where they best fit for that. So that is can be on the agenda for November.
For our meeting in November? Yep. Excellent.
And at that time, too, I believe she will be, I think our last little coordination meeting, there was some discussion about the schedule for various chapters, and there may be some adjustments to which chapters are going, or the progress that's been made on certain chapters over others. So she'll be able to provide a more detailed schedule on where the energy chapter is at and how that fits in the process. Because I think the hope is to avoid having all of the chapters on the same schedule and completed all at the same time to present to the planning board and trying to stagger some of those out. Energy will probably be in the earlier wave because the draft chapter is already pretty robust, so.
And when will that be?
She'll give us that update in November. Their team is working on that right now, so they can kind of identify and get in touch with each of the chapter leads to plan that out.
Any questions, comments? Okay. My turn, all the updates, okay. So community power updates, the Seacoast Challenge. So we have this thing currently going on with Newmarket, Dover, Portsmouth, Exeter, and Newmarket, Portsmouth, Exeter, who can get the larger number or percentage of people to upgrade to a higher level of clean, renewable energy. Right now, basically, there's four categories of clean or energy that community power provides. One is called Granite Basic, which is 24% clean, renewable energy. Then there's Granite Plus, which is 33% clean energy, renewable energy. Then there's Clean 50, which is clean energy 50%, and then there's Clean 100. So we have a contest going on that runs basically from August through end of January, which is the this current rate period for community power. So last month we were in first place. We had the highest number of people that upgraded. Okay, this month, for the month of October, we had, the month of September, Newmarket had nobody upgraded. Okay, Dover had 2, Durham had 3, Exeter had 1, and Portsmouth had 1. Percentage-wise, if you look at percentage of people that are on clean energy to the population, we're tied with Durham, first place. We both had 0.2% increase in the number of people that have upgraded since the contest started. Dover is up by 1%, and Portsmouth is up by less than 1%. Glenn Stevens, Glenn is another member of the team. No problem. So, if anybody has any ideas how we can, get to people and get them to upgrade to a higher percentage of clean energy, that would be appreciated. I will say that Granite Basic, which is what most of the people in the town are on, that is the lower percentage of clean and renewable energy, and clean and Granite Plus, which is 33% energy. Both of those rates are below Eversource's rate, Eversource's current rate. So people could in fact upgrade to Granite Plus, which is 33% clean renewable energy, and they're still at a cheaper rate than what Eversource has. So anybody has any ideas how we can get people to upgrade or get the word out? I mean, I keep sticking stuff on Facebook. That's the best thing that I know. But and we occasionally put stuff out on the town website. But again, if people have ideas, let me know. We can create flyers or something and stick them out.
Where does the renewable come from? Do you know?
There is a list of things let's see if I can find it. It actually comes from a number of different sources. It comes from, there's wind, okay, there's solar.
I've never seen a wind turbine in New Hampshire.
Well, okay, so we get our power from ISO, or a New England grid, okay? So community power purchases it from there. Let's see if I can find that document.
So the power is not necessarily produced in New Hampshire, is what it means. It could be from anywhere, but we're attached
Right.
to other grids, so they can go out and buy credits for energy across the country, theoretically.
So here's basically our Granite Basic, okay, 6%, which is what the majority of Newmarket residents are on, 6% comes from biomass, 8.6% comes from hydro, less than 1% comes from landfill gas. So these are the breakdowns, okay? So wind is less than 1% for Granite Basic. For Granite Plus, wind is 14.8%. Clean 50 is 34%.
And that's what we're trying to push right there, Granite Plus.
We're trying to push any one of these three, but Granite Plus, Granite Clean 50, or Clean 100. But Granite Plus is still cheaper than Eversource, so yeah, if we can get people to upgrade to that. Okay. Okay.
Do they send a demographic breakdown? I just wonder if knowing most of the people who subscribe to this could help with getting more of that same demographic to sign up. So you could target the messaging to, like if it's like first time home buyers and they, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't, I'm sure we don't know.
Yeah.
What the demographic is.
Yeah.
We do get some from coal. We don't, Community Power at this point did not, for this latest round, did not get any power from nuclear. All the requisitions for nuclear had already been purchased by other companies or whatever. So yeah, Granite Plus, 14%, 15% wind. Can get people to upgrade to that, that would be great.
I think that's a good selling point right there. 0.01% to 14.88%, that's great.
And wind and solar, okay. Here's the deal with that, my understanding of Community Power is that they purchased wind and solar locally. They can actually purchase wind cheaper from out west. Okay?
Oh.
But Community Power tries to keep their sources within New England.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. Do you know anything about that, or do you have anything?
Nothing about that.
So, they could actually, Community Power could actually get cheaper wind from out west, but like I said, they're buying it from the New England area. Same thing with the biomass. They're buying electricity from someplace up in Berlin, a plant up in Berlin. They're trying to keep them employed. So, Community Power stats for as of October 1st. There are 5,564 total electric accounts in Newmarket. There are 3,845 accounts within Newmarket are on Newmarket Community Power. So 69.1% of Newmarket residents are on Community Power.
Joe, I think I've asked you this before. The total electric accounts that you have in there, are 100% of that number eligible for Community Power?
No.
See, that's where I wish we would use the people that are eligible for Community Power who are choosing Community Power. Because that looks like we only have we don't have as, if you looked at who's eligible and who's opted in, it's like 90%, right? Or 95% or 96%.
That's probably true. That's correct.
And that number looks like we have 30% of our people saying, I don't want to be on Community Power. And that's not accurate.
Okay, for the next one, I actually have statistics as to, of those people that are not on Community Power, where they fall into. I did pull the net meter, 172 of those, how many count? Somewhere I thought I had it. Yeah, out of the 1,700, the 1,719. accounts that are not on community power. And yes, there's a number of reasons. Some of them are people that are actually terminating. Some of them, the way the rules are set up right now, if somebody moves out and somebody moves into an apartment, they're automatically defaulted back to Eversource. And then Community Power has to send them a notification saying, we're switching you to Community Power. So there's a number of people that are like in the limbo stage. Okay. Yeah, this is like 4 or 5 categories that make up that 1,700 people. I did pull the net meter quote. Okay.
That's the first time I've seen that. I'm shocked that we have that many.
172? Well, yeah. I can actually send everybody the actual breakdown. Okay. I didn't
That's good.
print it out
I mean,
because
I
some
wish
of them
we
I
had
don't
more,
I,
but-
I don't really understand what some of the categories are.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Does that basically mean there's 172 homes with solar on them?
Yes, they have some kind of solar panels, and do you want to explain net metering?
So-
to this?
What it really means is there's 172 households that are, not only do they have solar, but they are set up on the state's net metering system. Right, so it's possible there could be somebody with solar panels who's not in net metering, because you don't have to.
Right.
You don't have to do it, but my guess is that everybody, and then so currently you cannot be on community power if you are net metering.
Well,
Yes.
you could be, but you wouldn't get the benefit of the credit for what you
Right,
generate.
you would get 0 credit for energy that you produce, because they, the kind of meters that were installed, like the household reading meters, aren't smart enough to allow community power to get access to the energy being produced. They're not connected basically to you know,
It's
the,
benefiting Eversource, right?
Oh, yeah, I'm a net metering person, and yeah, I mean, yeah, because most of the energy just goes right next door to my neighbor, I'm sure, right? Because it just goes out on the line and goes right to them, so it's very cheap because, yeah, they're not paying anything they're not losing any of that power when it goes out to the next person, so yeah, no, it's a good deal for them.
So 2 things. I do have an update on net metering that I'll talk about in a little bit, but I just want to also explain that one of the reasons that people that are net metering can't be on community power is because there's some issues with Eversource. Eversource isn't sharing completely the information that they have to do the net metering. And then because there's some questions about who gets the benefit of that net meter or that solar energy, electricity that's being produced. Eversource is saying, well, we should get some of it. Community Power is saying, well, it's our customer, we should get it. Blah, 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 blah. So there's some of that going on too. There was some bills that were in the legislature this past year that would have addressed that. Everybody was in agreement, and they thought they were going to have a solution this summer. But then at the last minute, it went to the Senate, and the Senate decided to study it for another year. So it's kind of, the issue is still back in the legislature at this point. But I do have an update for it. It might be of some value. Okay, so of the 3,845 accounts that are on Newmarket Community Power, 69%, 3,814 are in the Granite Basic, which is the lowest level of clean renewable energy. 31 are on a higher level that represents roughly 8%. We actually went live in April. April was the first month that people in Newmarket were on community power. Since going live, 62 people have opted out, but 150 opted out means that they want to go to some other provider. 151 accounts have opted in, so there was 151 people that were originally out that decided to come back in. Of those 1,700 that are not in community power, 172 are net metered accounts. So one of the things that we're keeping track of is you know, here's how much Eversource would have charged during this period. Here's how much Community Power charged. So as of September 1, which is the latest info that we have as far as, you know, dollars go, we've saved Newmarket residents $18,000 compared to what would have been paid had the people stayed on Eversource. You have to keep in mind that for that particular rate period that ran till the end of August, it ran February to August, we came in April. During that period, there was only a ½ cent difference between what Eversource was charging and what Community Power charged. And the main reason that was only ½ cent was Eversource had overcharged during the, you know, there was a period there where electric rates went way up, if you recall. Eversource had overcharged people during that period of time, and they had to give a 2½ cent rebate during that that particular rate period. So it brought there's, you know, it would have been a greater difference between what Community Power had and what Eversource had, by 2½ cents. But anyway, this current rate period, it's close to 2 cents difference between what Community Power is charging versus what Eversource is charging. So we expect to see this figure that, you know, grow over the next couple of months. Questions, comments on Eversource and Community Power?
I should know the answer to this, but how do you physically make the change? Do I call Eversource or someone, do
Yeah,
they call them, or
okay.
is there a check mark somewhere on the bill that I haven't seen, or?
When you get your electric bill, it should say two parts. There's a delivery charge and there's a supply charge.
Yeah.
Okay, if your supply charge will say Newmarket Community Power, if you're on Newmarket Community Power. Okay, you would have automatically been enrolled if you were just a regular customer. You would have,
Okay.
you should already be on Newmarket Community Power. If you're not, there's an 800 number you can call, and you just need your account number, and they'll switch you over. I can get you that number, or you can go onto the website Newmarket Community Power,
Okay, well,
or Community Power, and Community Power New Hampshire, and there's a spot there you can log in, and or just, you know, if you have your account number, you can switch over to Community Power.
Okay.
Does CPCNH send out mailers or anything to residents?
You can't do it, you know, they don't really have a budget. Okay, Community Power right now has like 6 people full-time, okay? Everybody else is like a volunteer. The whole board of directors is volunteers and whatever. So they don't have a huge budget, but yeah, they do have some money for doing mailers. Okay, to get some stickers, Rebecca had to pay for it, and we had a little bit of a go getting her reimbursed for those stickers. But, so they don't really have a budget for it.
I don't know if that would come from Newmarket, like that. I just moved in 2 months ago, and if I wasn't part of this committee, I have no idea what CPCNH is.
Now, I try putting stuff out on Facebook, saying every now and then, updating people about, you know, what we're doing here, and say, you know, you can call 1-800-POWER Southfield. Actually, what there is, but
Yeah, we did a big mailing in April. We did a lot of communication when we originally switched over. Was it mailings, we had public meeting? What else did we do, Joe? I'm missing. We showed up at events and we publicized and tried to get the word out as much as possible. But I do think it's harder now as people move in, and if you're a new resident and you're getting defaulted to Eversource, it's harder to know.
But, well, the new people that move in, you know, that originally defaulted to Eversource, it takes a couple of months, but then Community Power does send them something, you're automatically being switched to.
Okay.
They don't have to actually call. I mean, when they first move in, they could call and, you know, be moved in, but it takes like a couple of months for Eversource to tell, Community Power, okay, we have a new resident here, and then Community Power has to do a mailing to those people. And Community Power only does the mailings basically quarterly at this point. Why they're not automatically enrolled, I don't know, I understand that.
Yeah.
Boo, 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 boo. Okay.
Do you know if the community power, like flyer or the postcards, are posted in the town clerk's office?
Yes,
Okay,
I put some up there, yeah.
yeah.
Ideally, I don't know, I could get the clerk as people come in to register their cars, say I'm a new resident, whatever, if they could hand them something.
Give
but
them a
they-
little packet
yeah,
of
but,
info.
hey, welcome to the town. Hey, by the way, you can get a cheaper rate if you do this.
Yeah,
Okay, 2 new developments with community power. So, Public Utilities Commission and Department of Energy have authorized community power to be a clean/renewable energy aggregator. And what that means is, community power can now buy the electricity or the requisitions that are generated by those households that have solar power right now that are on net metering. Okay. There'll be a standard contract between the homeowner and community power. Community power is in the process of developing that contract, and they'll stick it up on their website, and they will have some kind of a mailing or whatever going out to everybody, said, hey, if you want to join community power and if you want to sell us your requisitions, here's what we are offering for, per kilowatt hour that you generate. So they would actually pay you, I guess, to join, to sell your requisitions. So,
Well, yeah, there's two different things you're talking about. One, you can sell your requisitions, but there's also, that's different than selling the power you're generating.
That's correct. You're
There's
selling
two
the
separate
requisitions.
things,
Okay.
yeah.
So,
Just so I'm understanding, is requisition the same as like what I might know as a renewable energy credit?
Exactly.
yes.
Yeah.
I've never heard of doing this.
Yeah, from the consumer, that's what you, so like you could, it's not very much money. Like, started out, like a couple of years ago, I was getting like $300 a year for it. Now it's like under $100 a year.
And yeah, in the state of New Hampshire, it's like 75 cents on the dollar, right? You get like 75%. What you pay Eversource per kilowatt hour, you get, is that different?
No, the recs are just like,
Oh,
it's like, they're, I don't quite understand it, but it's like they're getting credit somehow for the energy you're putting out into the grid by paying you, but has nothing to do with like paying you on a kilowatt per hour basis. That's more like net metering that some states have that we don't. We had 2 generations of net metering. The first generation is like what you're describing. You got paid per kilowatt hour. If you produced more power than you used in a month, then they paid you per kilowatt hour. Then the second generation that I'm under, and a lot of us are under, is if you produce surplus power in a month, it goes into a bank, and it just keeps banking. And if you get through like March to March, and you haven't, and you're still on the upside, then they'd send you a check. But if you're just on the calendar year, you may never get there, you know what I mean? Because you really got to produce, March to March is not really work very well for most solar producers.
Yeah.
And so what ends up happening is like 10 months out of the year, you don't have a power bill. You have 0 power bill. They're not charging you for transmission, anything. You just get a bill that says you owe nothing. And then 2 months out of the year, you'll probably owe anywhere from $100 to $50. So your whole bill for the year might be $150.
Yeah, your excess generation offsets.
Yeah,
when you use
100%, and all the other charges that you see on the bill.
Okay, but even including like that $15 fee.
All those other fees, you don't see anything. But again, if I was in, say, Maine or Vermont, like Vermont pays a premium for that solar power. So like, they were getting as much as 22 cents a kilowatt hour paid to them for the power they were producing. I think they've cut it back because it's now affordable, but New Hampshire never really wanted to go that route. They said that was not fair to the consumer.
Okay. The other development is that Community Power is now creating a 12-month rate plan for non-residential accounts like municipalities and schools or whatever. There's two rate plans, one that goes January, the calendar year, January through December, and the other rate plan goes July through June, which is the town fiscal year. So I've approached the town about maybe these becoming a guinea pig or joining this, doing this. Unfortunately, the town has just signed a contract with their electric supplier. Comes effective in December. It's a 2-year contract, so getting the town onto Community Power might take a little bit longer than I was kind of hoping. I haven't met with the school yet. I would wait until everybody's in their budget process right now, as well as the election coming up. I would wait until we're done with the budgeting and the elections before actually sitting down with the school department now to see if we can get them onto Community
Are they
Power.
on a contract though? I know.
I think they are.
They are?
I think the school and municipal facilities are on the same contract. They were on the last one, so I assume that's.
They're on the same contract as
Yeah.
the town? But, I'll probably still talk with them anyway, if, I'm gonna meet with Bill and just bring them up to date, so. Bottom line is, looks like the town and the school, we're not gonna have them on Community Power for a while. Yeah. All right, so this is the meat of the stuff for tonight, okay, so the new people here, for the last basically 2 years, the main things we've been concentrating on have been the master plan, the energy chapter of the master plan. We created an outline, we were actually working on it, and then the town said, oh, by the way, we're gonna redo our whole master plan for the whole town, and so, we jumped in on that bandwagon, and which is good, because now the town's working on it, and it'll be consistent, format-wise with all the other towns. It'll all be one succinct master plan, as opposed to the current master plan is, all these different chapters were done by different groups. They're not cohesive or whatever. So the master plan for energy chapter, that's in progress. We kind of got that out of the way. And Community Power, we completed the electric aggregation plan, which had to go to the Public Utilities Commission, get approved by them, then approved by the Town Council. So we got that all done, and we actually went live in April. And so Community Power is kind of like on its way now, kind of going. One of the things we are going to have to, we are a committee that makes recommendations to the Town Council and Town Manager. One of the things we can do is, there's two things. One is we can recommend to the Town Council what the default plan should be, whether it's the default is Granite Basic or Granite Plus, or a higher, cleaner energy level of energy. Last year, this committee developed a resolution that went to the town, and the town approved that resolution, that basically said by 2030 we want the town to be, and a number of facilities to be on renewable energy. And so Community Power is a simple way to get there by upgrading the town and to a cleaner level of energy. So anyway, one of the things we can recommend to the Town Council, we should discuss at some point in time, is what should be the default. Should we slowly move up the ladder? Should we maybe next year or for the next rate period recommend that the default service be Granite Basic, Granite Plus, which is 33% clean energy, as long as it's still cheaper than Eversource? We can make that recommendation to the Town Council. Whether they approve it or not, I can't say. Another thing that we can do, which I wouldn't recommend us doing at this point, is we can add an adder, or recommend that the town add a little, like a 0.5% or 0.1%, whatever, to the rate, and that goes into a reserve fund that would be available for the town to use for projects. The way community power is set up right now is the rates the rates that are charged cover basically the cost of the electricity, as well as the administration fee. Like I said, there's only 7 people right now on community power that are staff members, okay, so they have a fairly small budget for staff and things that they're doing. But once they get up to a point where they have 6 months of reserve money, so that the community power can operate for 6 months without any income, once they get to that, any additional revenues go into reserves, and those reserves can then be available to towns if they want to do solar projects or whatever. Okay. But in addition to that money, that once they get to 6 months, again, like I say, the town can create its own reserve or adder fee, which goes in reserve, and then that money is strictly available to the town whenever the town wants to take it. We could make a recommendation to the town council if we want to say, let's add an adder fee of, 0.5% or whatever. So I wouldn't recommend doing that at this point in time. I'd like to get a year or two under the belt with community power before we go asking the town council to add a fee onto the electric rate. But that's something that this council, or this group can do, this committee can do. So recycling update. So as I was saying, the two things that we've been working on the last couple of years, community power and the master plan, those are basically on their way. Okay, so now we need to move on to the next thing. The next thing we were thinking about moving on to was recycling. Okay, so here's where I want to have a discussion in that. I had a talk with the Public Works Director recently, and basically I asked him, is there something that this committee we can do to help improve recycling in Newmarket? And basically his response was, no. There currently is no market for recycling. It actually costs the town more to do recycling than if we just threw everything into solid waste. So my question is, we can have a little discussion now, is okay, what do we want to do? Comments or thoughts, or what can we do?
Yeah, I'd like some additional clarity on why that recycling cost is so high. Is it due to the cost of recycling itself, or is it contamination fees associated with that? I'm wondering if there's opportunity for a targeted campaign or something like that, or something more similar to reduce contamination, which does reduce recycling costs.
Again, that's what I thought we could work on, some kind of a public service announcement, to update people on what is recyclable and what is not recyclable. And basically, he's saying, you could probably do that, but it doesn't make any difference. There's no market for the recycling materials at this point in time. And like I say, we paid $405,000 to do the recycling. I don't know if you've been to the transfer station at all. There's one big bin that you throw cardboard in, and there's another bin that you throw plastic bottles and whatever. But if you ever look in that particular bin, you'll see everything in there. You see trash bags and paper, supposed to be bottles and cans as far as I know, and plastics. You'll see everything in there. I saw a Trump sign in there.
It's not an issue of contamination. It's an issue of there's zero market. So it's actually kind of what's happening now is it's a mirage. You're putting stuff out on the corner, thinking it's getting recycled. They're putting it in their truck. They're driving it back to their facility, they're bundling it up and putting it in a landfill. So there's nothing getting recycled is what Casella is telling us. That's what I'm taking away from what, I've heard this news as well, and it's very disappointing to hear. I mean, my thought is, why are we paying the money? I know people will be upset, but like, why are we paying the money to just throw stuff away? That's
The Public Works Director said that if he had his way, that he would not do it. Everything would go into solid waste, okay?
Yeah.
Because that's where it's basically going now. But he and the town manager, is politically not correct, and probably, other towns have tried doing it, and it causes an uproar.
Are we sure that nothing's,
I'm guessing there's probably
Getting
some
recycled?
recycling being done, but he specifically said that a lot of the stuff gets bundled up and goes into landfills.
yeah,
If you ever look at the trucks that go around during the weekday,
sure,
in my house, I segregate, here's all the cardboard, I put that into one bin, here's bottles and cans going to another. The garbage truck comes along, and the guys just take it and they throw both of them together into one thing in the truck, and
right.
off it goes. I don't know,
I mean, there was a market for aluminum that I thought was still good.
well, that's what I was wondering, and
Yeah,
I didn't follow up with
That's the
him.
only one, but we know for sure the plastic, we knew that like 4 or 5 years ago. Ever since China stopped taking plastics, there's been very little plastic market. And the glass, even then, before Casella was telling us, well, there's not really a market for it, we are crushing it up and using it a little bit in our own road system for road aggregate kind of stuff. But, I mean, that was just Casella telling us that. I have no idea what they were actually doing with the glass. That's what they told us. But, so we kind of knew that we weren't getting a lot of recycling done previously, but I think it's probably just getting worse and worse, the market. I mean, again, cardboard and aluminum are the only two things that I've recently heard there's any kind of market for at all. But I don't know what kind of shape those products have to be in to be actually recycled. Like if we said, okay, we're not going to put plastic and we're not going to put glass in there, we'll just put
Aluminum, yeah.
and cardboard, would that make a difference? I don't know. I mean, that's worth asking Casella at least to find out. If we changed the mixture of what we put in there, would that somehow make it more likely to get recycled?
Yeah,
And not to go simultaneously, kind of reduce the amount of waste being sent for recycling anyways. So maybe it would increase the cost for, I guess, disposal, but
Yeah.
should ideally reduce the cost for recycling. I think what's really, the cheapest thing to do is reduce. But how do you make a campaign to reduce the amount of waste in the first place?
Like, I don't know, I live in an apartment, so I don't go towards the dump or anything, but I guess I'm thinking of if you got rid of the recycling program, but there was still a place where people could go to, write cardboard. Like if they don't take cardboard, but somebody's moving and they need cardboard boxes, is there a place that people could just bring that and then people could take it as they need? Same with glass bottles. People use those for storage in their house. Or I go to the refillery place in Dover for cleaning supplies, and you just can put them in an empty glass bottle. And they wonder if there's a way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are people that go there to take stuff to the landfill instead of putting it out on the curb. What I've been told, and I think Joe might have heard this as well, is it's hard to get people, if we convert it to 100% people having to go there, that we would have people be upset about it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's worth looking at to see. Maybe you can find out if any other towns are doing anything like that. Some of the other stuff does get reused or taken, I think, out there. It's taken out, some of the metal stuff and things like that. People do haul away that and take it, but yeah, it's pretty discouraging right now for recycling.
I doubt that there'd be a lot of, people saying, oh yeah, occasionally somebody's gonna say, oh yeah, I need boxes for moving, but probably not a whole lot. On the metal recycling, if you've been to the transfer station, you see this big pile of metal or whatever. He told me that they only get a couple $100 for all that metal, which I thought they would have gotten more, but.
Yeah, but it's something. Yeah.
So, I can ask, I guess, if we were to limit recycling to only aluminum cans and cardboard, everything else, say, goes to the landfill, maybe that's worth asking the question. I didn't really ask that. I do know, it used to be told that you can't recycle pizza boxes, but I was told, yeah, pizza boxes are fine, even with the grease stains in them.
Perhaps a tangentially related question, and forgive me, I haven't been to the transfer station yet. Does the town have any oversight over any specialty recycling streams, textiles, electronic waste, compost?
They do composting there. Okay, so there is and people do use that. So that, and then there is a cycle or a spot for like computer terminals or whatever. That and I don't know, if they make any money on that.
They charge you. So like if you're just taking something random there, they don't take mattresses. That's one thing I don't think we take at all. Maybe I'm wrong about that. No, maybe they will take
At the
mattresses.
transfer station, yes,
Yeah,
not
they will.
curbside.
Yeah, they will take a mattress. Okay. So they'll just charge, there's a guy there and he'll charge you for whatever you're dropping off other than Newmarket trash in a Newmarket trash bag and, the recycling items. So yeah, but you can take old computers, scrap metal, furniture, mattresses. I'm not sure that there's something specific for textiles there, but you could certainly bring it there, and they would charge you to take it off their hands. I'm trying to think of what else they have there that's kind of separate.
Refrigerators and.
Yep,
Yeah.
they have every kind of appliance that they'll take everything. And they do have bins for compost, and people can also drop off like leaves and things like that in bags.
What about Trump signs? I'm kidding.
I wonder if there's any third-party avenues for waste that's already been sent for recycling or landfill that could kind of be employed to divert some of that away from either single-stream recycling or disposal, or if there's any other vendors.
That's how the composting works. It's Mr. Fox is
Mr.
the
Fox,
service,
okay.
so it's not a municipal composting service, but the town contracts Mr. Fox for the bins, and they come every 2 weeks, I think.
Is that true
pick that up.
composting, or is that waste to energy?
True
True
composting,
composting.
yes. And all the like compostable food packaging and brown napkins and all that stuff can go in. It's not exclusive to food scraps.
Great. Yeah, 'cause, I know some services that are like AgriCycle, for example, which are technically waste energy, so it's still obviously an emissions element with that, but you can take whole packaged food that's like since expired or something like that, and they have a heat packaging facility, so think about like an expired aluminum can full of a food product, they could take the entire aluminum can, so that would divert, I guess, some, maybe a marginal amount of waste that would otherwise be sent for recycling, but I'm not sure what the costs of the program are, or what the town's contract with Mr. Fox looks like, so.
Yeah.
I don't even know, what do they do with that composting? I don't think
They take it to their facility in Maine. I forget if it's York or Wells, Kittery, something like that. They service this area. So they take it to their facility and they do the commercial composting there at their facility. You can do it for individual residential too, just as a plug. I do it at my house.
other thing, Joe, I'm thinking about is even if we did change the stream and said, okay, you can only do cans and or cardboard, currently, they have a major, people put everything in there.
Yeah.
And like, even things that there's no way we would recycle, like styrofoam and things like that are
Yeah.
put in there. Because I talked to them about that, and so every time something like that happens, that just gets good, the whole thing just goes into the landfill. So that's my concern, even if we told people, hey, this is what you could put in, unless we really enforced it and said, okay, we're not gonna pick it up if there's anything other than what's in there, people would still just throw everything. Because it's almost like a trash service at this point anyway. That's how people treat it, I think. They don't really think
Yeah,
about
yeah,
what
yeah.
they're putting in there.
Is that an option to, I mean, maybe it's a too political of an option to be like, but say like the curbside seller won't pick up your trash if you have banned items in it. Is that a,
I
acceptable?
think that's what the town manager was getting at with his political point there about like, we can't stop the service because it'd be a flood of complaint calls coming in about you're taking away a service from us that, we've come to depend on, or, I think that's part of the fear, is that it'd be very unpopular. But
I think it's more popular than foregoing the service entirely, though.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Instead of pulling away recycling service for everybody. Why have a
Yeah.
few households? It's more of a few, obviously. I saw a bike helmet on one of my recycling bins on my walk today. Maybe on like a household by household basis, if you have waistband items in recycling bin, that specific bin doesn't get picked up. And maybe it takes a communication, like, when in doubt, throw it out, which I know doesn't sound like the most sustainable of options, but at the end of the day, it's more sustainable than, wasting an entire truckload of potentially recyclables because of a few contaminants.
I can see, if some of these garbage or recyclables don't get picked up because they did something wrong, I can see the town manager getting bitched out about it. And
Yeah.
he's gonna say,
DPW already gets a lot
No
of
way.
calls when they get missed. So.
he's gonna say, I don't want, no way, Jose.
I almost think, Joe, if you're gonna implement any kind of major change in recycling, it has to come at the town council level. And I don't even know if it isn't something that belongs in town meeting, because you almost need to give people an opportunity to vote up or down on it. Say, look, here's what we have now. We're paying to throw stuff out. Our proposal is, do this change to it and put it on the town meeting ballot and actually give people a chance to vote. You want to continue to pay to just have stuff thrown out, or do you want to have a real recycling program which would require you to adhere to certain rules? And just spell it out for people and give them a choice and say, hey, and tell them what, publicize what is it costing us? We're spending all this money to just throw stuff out. Where it would be cheaper if we honestly just put it in an orange bag, everything, and left it out on the curbside. That would be cheaper, I think is what Casella is telling us. They would charge us less under those circumstances.
Okay, I have no problem bringing that to the council next week and say, can we put a non-binding resolution on the March ballot that asks people?
Well, I think the big thing is we're basically running a sham program. That's how I would describe it. It's like people put stuff out in the corner and they think it's being recycled and it's not. And I don't think that's a good outcome either.
Well, I think it's most important that people are, I'm sort of drawn back to the motivation to recycle in the first place, And, for me, it's this plastic jug, and I think, well, if I put that in the orange thing, then it's just going to go to a landfill, so I'll recycle it, and I feel good about that, But the thought of me taking my time to doodle through this whole thing, for that plastic jug, if I knew that that plastic jug was destined for a landfill anyways, I think I'd be kind of pissed, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I'd want to know why the system isn't working, why it's broken down, and you have said it's monetary. But I think I would need to know that, you know?
Yeah.
And I think people deserve to be told. Because I think most people are just in the dark right now. I mean, most everybody.
Yeah, I mean, I think that George said it, the best thing you can do is don't buy that plastic jug. Don't buy that product that's in plastic. That's honestly the best thing you can do. If you really care, then the best thing you can do right now is to try and avoid as many plastic items as possible, because we know everything that we're putting out there in plastic is not only not getting recycled, it's just getting tossed across our entire environment. It's breaking down into these microparticles that are just getting absorbed into everything. So there's just nothing good that I can tell you about plastic other than if you can avoid it and not use it, that's the real service you can do. Is don't, as a consumer, if you have a choice, don't buy the thing in plastic. That's really the message that we've tried to give to people repeatedly through various different groups, but it's a hard one to get across to people, honestly. It's like they don't want to make that choice. I don't know what else to say.
Is there any way that through the town be able to disincentivize the use of plastics or otherwise? I don't know what that might look like, but instead of focusing on the point of disposal, why not the point of consumption, right? Is there any way to work?
You can try on a limited basis. I believe we tried, or it was brought up to eliminate plastic straws, but the town council didn't force that. Other towns, I believe, did do that, but Newmarket didn't.
Yeah. Is there a way to, I wonder if there's a way to work with businesses on, even a swap from like plastic bottles to aluminum cans for beverages or something along those lines? Is there a way that we can kind of facilitate that transition or provide inputs to Newmarket small businesses?
We could make recommendations to the business the business group. There's a group, but and monetary. Okay, it all comes down to money.
Yeah.
I just got back from the grocery store, spent $200 and something, and everything I bought is somehow wrapped in plastic or, I mean, it's unbelievable how dependent we are on plastic.
Yeah.
And so I don't know.
Yeah, I only view this problem kind of through the lens of a higher education institution, so it's a very small, kind of isolated ecosystem, so it's a lot easier to kind of instill those changes on like, you can more easily prescribe like, we can't use plastic bottles at this facility or otherwise, but I wonder if there's a way to expand that too.
Do you know what the school does as far as recycling?
I do not.
You know, the schools.
I'd be interested to see what the schools have for single-use plastic products as well.
Yeah.
That's
I'm trying to think. I mean, I don't know that they have. I can't remember if they have soda machines in there or not in the school.
I'm just talking about lunch.
Yeah.
You know.
But for lunch, well, they have like the plastic trays, but I'm not sure what kinds of plates. They think everything's like throwaway. Like once you get the plastic tray, everything you put on that tray goes into the trash.
tray inclusive, or is the tray reusable item?
The tray is the only thing that gets reused. I think everything else that if you go through the lunch line, and about half the kids bring their own lunch, so it's not everybody, but, yeah. I mean, you can go, if you go to businesses downtown, you will find there's businesses that are making an effort to use compostable food containers. So if you order something to go out, you can put that in the compost. And then there's other groups that are using styrofoam. So it's more like a consumer choice to some extent.
Just want to go back to a comment that you made about the town council doing stuff. I can't speak for the town manager or the town council, but my gut feeling is that the town manager and the council would not be in favor of doing anything where they try to tell businesses or, pass ordinances or whatever that force businesses to do something.
Right, and I think stuff like that is, that prescriptive nature isn't exactly effective anyways, so, yeah, good term, thank you.
Yeah, I didn't even think we could do that in New Hampshire. I thought the state had already limited our ability to pass ordinances regulating things like, because I thought communities did want to regulate plastic grocery bags, and they took that away from towns, the ability to
Yeah,
do
they
that.
did something with straws a while back.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know there's a plastic bag issue. And,
Yeah, because the state has been pretty restrictive on what it'll let towns pass
Right.
ordinances on because of that kind of stuff.
Right. Towns can only do what the legislature authorizes them to do. Okay, we can't go and make our own rules. Okay, so, how do we leave this? I can talk again with the director of public works there and say, what if we were to only recycle aluminum cans? I can pursue that.
Well, ask
I
them, is there a market for anything? I mean, that's really the question. I
His comment to me was
understand plastic.
basically, there's no market for recycling right now. I gotta believe that aluminum cans would, at least aluminum cans.
That's
would-
what I've heard. I
Um,
mean, it'd be interesting because I know there's bottle bills all around us. Every other state has a bottle bill around us. And so they're doing something with those cans. I'm assuming they're not throwing them in. They're probably being recycled in those states because they're collecting them all, so for the redemption.
And I can ask the council if they would be in favor of maybe having some kind of non-binding resolution on the March ballot asking about recycling. If we,
Or, I mean, I just think that, hey, yeah, or you could even ask, yeah, once you find out more about it, might help us to know where to go. But I mean, I think it's good to put it out there to people. And that's the best way to get it out there is to make sure that people know this is what's happening with the program right now.
I would recommend some more research before asking the council to do anything, and I say that knowing that the contract that the town has with Casella is going to be ending soon, and there's already discussion of moving to automation, which would significantly impact any of the curbside activity. So there's more discussion to be had in the next year or two on what that contract's going to look like, and using that time frame to maybe figure out what the options are before the time to sign the next contract and do the next thing. That's probably a good time to bring it up to council and be asking the question. If we're going to be making a change, we're going to have to make a wholesale change with the automation. If that's how we go with curbside, let's work an additional change into the same time frame rather than make a change next year and then have to make another significant change in the following year. Do you know what I mean?
so Steve had mentioned that, but he
The
gave like
automation?
a 5-year time frame for that. You're saying sooner than that?
Could potentially. I don't know, I don't recall when the current contract that we have with Casella, I don't recall when that ends, but our discussions with them about making changes and how that's going to go they've already started kind of laying the groundwork that when it comes time to renew, that's the direction that they're moving. And waste management as well. We've been talking with other municipalities about their programs, their curbside options, and they're facing some of the same stuff.
I'm fine with that.
Just had a few points. I would agree and continue to encourage you to like research the market for recycling further, because like my experience in Cambridge is that there certainly is a market for recycling. Maybe not so much for like a lot of the plastics, but I worked with the director of DPW in Cambridge on that committee, and he pushed back on that type of feedback, that there is no market based on the China sold program.
So, what kind a market for what? For aluminum or?
Yeah, well, basically in Cambridge, you can't do like black plastics. There's like the wax-lined liquid containers. You can't accept the pizza boxes, so cardboards, aluminum. Glass is a tough one, but if there's a bottle, that would work. But glass is tough because it breaks and it becomes hard for something. But there's a few others as well. But I think in general, the big theme, at least in Cambridge and a lot of other bigger municipalities, was contamination rates. And as soon as it becomes even like beyond like 5% contaminated, Casella or whomever the end user is forced to, because there won't be a market for contaminated materials. So if Newmarket were to improve through information or whatever the contamination rate of recycling, that might reduce the amount of contamination. So that's part of the problem.
Can you find out more about what they're doing?
Yeah.
Notice that?
Yeah.
Well, and I think we should try and, I don't know, determine what the contract status with Casella is, if it's 2 years, 5 years. But they have come in the past to answer questions.
Mhm.
Like, they would appear before the Conservation Commission when I was on the Conservation. We asked them to come, and they did come and answer questions. So, I mean, that's when they told us about the plastics, that they weren't able to recycle plastics. And again, that was at least 5 years ago, probably more, that they said that.
I was going to invite, or get Casella to come through the town, DPW, but after talking with him, I didn't pursue that. But
Yeah.
I can still pursue that too.
Well, at least maybe make a phone call to them and see if they would give us any clarity on what their position is on it. We've heard Rick, the DPW's position. Let's hear from Casella. Get a quote from them. What's going on with our recycling program? I think that's at least fair, right? Get that information from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I've had a similar experience to Scott's as well, where working in a higher education facility within those kind of four corners is the recycling itself should be cheaper than disposal. It's a contamination that makes it as expensive as it is.
Yeah.
So I kind of also find it hard to believe that it's more expensive.
At least in Cambridge, on a tip fee basis, so per ton or whatever it is, recycling is less than waste. I don't know if that's the case here. You just have gross numbers, so I'd be interested to see what we're paying on a per ton basis for recycling versus waste. And then on top of that, composting at a larger, maybe more public scale is how Cambridge saves a ton of money on solid waste, because pulling compost, like food waste out of trash really reduces the weight.
Right.
Mhm.
I wonder too if it's because the cost to take the stuff to the landfill is so much could be a lot higher down there. So it incentivizes better, choices, or it makes it at least more attractive to towns and cities to do that. Whereas up here, they may have Casella may have a cheaper option of dumping stuff in trash than they do going to the trouble of recycling it. Or they're not charging us, they are charging us more though. for what we're doing. I mean, I think it's mostly to do with its curbside pickup. That's a lot of that charge that we're paying for, don't you think, Joe?
Um, that's a mixture of both, yeah.
Yeah.
Curbside as well as.
I mean, if we went to just, everybody had to take their stuff to the landfill by themselves, I can't imagine they'd be charging us the same price. And you just put it in the different bins.
Again, I see the dump truck coming, they just throw everything into one.
Yeah, that's
The
what I'm
same thing
saying,
that-
yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it'd be really nice to get some more information from them about what's going on.
One other point I had on incentives was, it just crossed my mind, maybe people thinking more about it. People are incentivized to put stuff in recycling because they have to pay for every bag of trash that they dispose.
Mhm.
So that's probably where some of the contamination comes from. And if you tell people you're no longer able to recycle, they're going to have to be paying a lot more for trash disposal, right? Like, recycling is free, but every bag of trash costs $5, whatever it is.
Yeah, I have a whole
You can only
bin
be upset about that. I would be.
between my grandson and, his drinks, his apple juice and all everything. I fill a bin every week with plastic bottles.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. But, yeah, I did say that the trash bags will probably go away when they do get into the automation thing.
Likely. So I don't know if they would necessarily go away, but we would have to structure it differently. Some of our neighboring municipalities are considering subscription-based for the bins rather than the bags. But even with the automation, there are ways that Casella can track and see if it actually has the bags in it or not, so it could still stay. All that stuff is to be discussed, to be determined in the next year or two.
And I'm assuming the big thing with automation is it's just that they would charge less for that, right? If you had one of those big containers on the wheels and you wheel it out there, that they don't have to have a person, it can be picked
Right.
up. That's the automation part, right?
Right.
Whereas today we're paying for the person to actually pick it up and throw it in there.
That's some of the cost. It's more of a safety concern in the industry that everyone is pretty much moving to the automation whenever possible because it's a safer option. But I don't know. I haven't looked at the comparisons to see. I don't know what the change in cost is going to look like.
Where does the revenue from selling the bags, the plastic Newmarket bags, where does that go? Do you know?
It goes into the town's general fund.
It's got to be a ton of money in there.
Right? Not a whole lot of money. No.
Those bags are expensive.
Yeah, $15, but.
The revenue from the bags does not offset the cost of the program.
Yeah.
But, right, but where does it go is my question.
To the general fund.
Yeah, it comes back to the
Okay.
town, it goes
But
in
if you look
basically
at
into
the
the
line
checking
item
account.
of, here's the income stream from the orange bags, and here's
The cost for the
of
program.
our waste disposal program, they're not remotely equal.
Right.
So it's coming out of your property taxes, your general obligation property taxes are helping to pay for this program.
Right.
Going back to community power, could something, obviously much further down the line, that kind of, I can't think of any other way to call this, it's like a green slush fund, by putting like a half cent on utility bills extra, could something like that be used to offset the cost of bags?
I guess it's up to the town how they use that revenue, okay? Should they do that? So, yeah, potentially it could do that, but my gut feeling is that if we do add an adder fee to the electric rate, that any monies be used to some kind of program, solar programs, or whatever. But yeah, potentially. I wouldn't want to see it go into, general fund to make, pay people or something, whatever. Okay. All right, I will call Casella and see, you know, have a discussion with them, see what they're doing with the recycling and get some information. If you can get some stuff and talk about it again next month and see if it's somebody from Casella would be.
Because you guys are meeting, town council's next week, right? They're
That's-
not this week, so that would be good. You could have an update when you go there and tell them what you found out. Because this came up at the budget meeting, right?
The town council budget meeting, yes.
Yeah. That would be good. That would be good.
Any other thoughts or people? Well, that's all I got. So our next meeting is the last Wednesday in November, but let's just, if you don't mind, we'll just double check.
That's the Wednesday before Thanksgiving.
So I was gonna say, is that the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving?
It is.
Where's my Google calendar?
My suggestion, I'll make a suggestion on the next meeting. Look at a meeting maybe in early December and just have, that would be our last meeting of the year. Because we're at that time of the year with Christmas and Thanksgiving. It just takes a lot of time out of everybody's schedule. And then we could start back up in January.
Would Wednesday, December 11th be okay with people?
That'd be fine with me.
There will also be a master plan subcommittee meeting and a transportation committee meeting on Wednesday, the 11th.
All right. Well, we can pick, yeah, what about Tuesday? Oh, that's the planning board.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, the 19th, or Tuesday, the 17th?
I can't do the 17th, but I could do the 19th. Or the 5th, yeah, I could do the 5th too. Earlier in the month is probably better anyway, Joe, because the later we get in the month, the more holiday pressure builds.
Yeah. December 5th, Thursday, December 5th? Is that-
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, next meeting, Thursday, December 5th. Okay. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
And, what's her name?
Carrie, I will check with
Kim.
Carrie
Yeah.
to confirm.
Carrie.
Well, that's good, because there's nothing else going on that day, and so that's 2 weeks from next Thursday. A month from next Thursday. Okay.
And a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Do you have a second?
Yeah.
All right.
All in favor? All right.
Aye.
Thank you all very much. I'll try to get the minutes out quicker this time.
Email me something? Appreciate it.